In this video, you will learn about the 3 types of variables in a scientific experiment. Before you run any experiment, you need a question to investigate. Let's see what Mr. Erickson is doing in his science lab.
Today, I'm going to investigate how my reaction time changes with my right hand versus my left hand. To test this, I'm going to do a very simple experiment. Ms. Hack is going to drop this meter stick, and I'm going to catch it. I will determine my reaction time by measuring the distance between the end of my meter stick and my hand. I will do this 3 times with my right hand and 3 times with my left hand and compare the averages of those distances.
Let's pause here. What is the one thing about this experiment that Mr. Erickson will change? Mr. Erickson will change the hand that he is using to catch the meter stick. This is called an independent variable or manipulated variable. This is the one thing that will be changed by Mr. Erickson during the experiment. He is manipulating or changing the independent variable. He will use this data table to organize his results. Trial 2. Right hand.
25 centimeters. Next try.
Trial 3, right hand.
27 centimeters. So what I'm doing here is I'm recording the distances that the meter stick fell in each trial. The data I'm writing down is called the dependent variable. The dependent variable is also known as the responding variable. A dependent variable is what you measure during an experiment. The dependent variable is also affected by the independent variable.
One trick to remember is that the dependent variable depends on the independent variable. In this case, the distance the meter stick falls, the dependent variable, depends on which hand Mr. Erickson uses to catch the stick, the independent variable. But how do we know if this was a fair test? Are these results valid? This brings us to our 3rd type of variable, the controlled variable. A controlled variable is something that stays the same throughout an experiment. Most experiments have multiple controlled variables. We want controlled variables in order to be sure that our results are only affected by the independent variable.
Here are the variables that I need to control in my test. First, the stick should always start at the same distance from my hand. I should also be using the same meter stick each time and make sure that I'm measuring using the side with centimeters, not the side with inches. I should also have the same person dropping the stick each time. Speaking of Miss Hack, she should always drop the stick at random for each trial and not give me any cues like 1, 2, 3, go.
In this case, we want to make sure that the distance the meter stick falls is affected only by which hand Mr. Erickson uses to catch the stick. Since Mr. Erickson used controlled variables, we can be sure that his results are fair.
Let's review. There are 3 types of variables in a scientific experiment. The independent variable, what you will change, the dependent variable, what you will measure, and the controlled variable, what will stay the same.
Now you're ready to run your own scientific experiment.